It's a common joke among Filipinos to simply dismiss short tempers and bad moods as a sign of aging. But how does one age gracefully? For some, it begins with understanding the science of aging, the benefits of exercise and healthy habits, and how stretching those limbs and even patience can actually improve one's quality of life. Now, here to give you a preview on how to help slow down the hands of time and tap the potentials of rejuvenation to remain young, we're joined by Urban Ashram Manila Director Lasse Holopainen and yoga teacher Nica Hechanova. Good morning. Good morning. We were just talking about aging gracefully, tapping into the young energy that's still there. What's the starting point here? I mean, obviously, as people grow, mature in their years, things change, but they don't have to change for the worse. I mean, some people rediscover youth in their older years. Fill us in.
Well, I think everyone has this impression that aging is sort of an inevitable thing, that as you get older, certain things begin happening. Your body starts becoming less strong, less flexible, and really to the point where it starts breaking down, and at some point you'll either get a pill, surgery, or something, and at some point we die. And yet when you really look at life, you can break it down into a period of growing up, and then a period which is very important, that's a period of youth. And that is the period of your full potential, where you have your best strength, your best energy, your best flexibility. You can accomplish the most. And yet this is often tempered with youth. So you don't do the most of it. And then as you get older, you sort of lose that. However, what they're finding now is and then you enter your golden years. What they're finding now is what's really important is really lengthening not so much the lifespan, but the quality of that lifespan. And that means really looking at the period of youth, which all of us are in one form or another, and extending that. And as long as you're within that period of youth, no matter how bad shape you're in, you still have the potential to regain all of that. And not only that, you have the potential to start changing what tomorrow means to you as something that should make you stronger, more flexible, and maybe even better tempered or better at learning things, rather than something that slows you down. And so that's really, I guess, the question in a yoga teacher's mind, or in any person's mind, as you get older. How do we extend that period of youth?
You're just speaking from experience here, Lasse, aren't you? I mean, how has your practice sort of affected your life and changed the way you live your life?
Okay, so I just turned 47, so I'm almost 50 now. About 10 years ago, or when I started my practice, I couldn't touch my toes. I had chronic back problems. Turned out I had a neck problem that eventually required surgery, and all of these things were, you're seated at a desk, and you 25 years of doing this. I smoked 2 packs a day for a long time. Had a probably borderline alcohol problem, and all of this takes a toll on the body, and I felt very old. Over time, though, you start recapturing all of this, and I think there was really this seminal moment about 3 or 4 years ago when I realized that what the problem in life is that we're limited, and the biggest limit is your health. I mean, the moment the body goes, you're gone. The second is the energy that you have during that time. And so doing research and everything on the old yoga techniques, we found these rites of rejuvenation. Story. After World War I, English officer comes out of the midst of Tibet, and he tells the story of being taught 5 techniques that would rejuvenate you, taught by Tibetan lamas. So that becomes very popular in 30s and 40s, and it really focused on longevity of that period of life, the health. And from there, we started studying it and putting it into the yoga practices, and you start realizing that there's a lot more to what a good life means, or how to stay healthy. So first and foremost, the Tibetans teach us that it's important to have a good sense of balance. So one of the first things you do is as we get older, we lose our sense of balance. We fall over, and that's not a good thing. You die quickly if you keep falling over. And then the others is really about spinal health, keeping the spine supple, long, and flexible. And right now, even doctors, as well as the medical research, as well as old yogic traditions, tell us that you're only as old as your spine is. So spinal health is really the key to that. And as everyone starts pulling up, and
I know I was straightening myself up as you were talking about that.
Oh, and it's important because we don't think about it. We live without that awareness. So first and foremost, I mean, you look at the body and you bring it back into a stage where you have the flexibility of youth, you have the strength of youth, and that way you get the energy of youth.
Right.
And then you start thinking, okay, I'm older, I have a bit more resources, a bit more money, and I can do so many more things. Right? And then life becomes about discovering what you can do about yourself and what more you can do, rather than worrying about tomorrow my knee is going to give, my shoulder is going to give, I'm getting Alzheimer's. That's not the period of time that you want to extend in your life.
Right.
So that's really what the focus of our yoga programs are right now, really capturing that and saying, okay, how do we live better during this time?
Oh, right. Well, I mean, Nica, as a practitioner, as a teacher, you know, where does one begin when you have somebody who much like Lasse here, you know, probably at a point in their lives where they sort of take stock and say, I'm not doing the best job I can be doing as far as taking care of myself. How do I sort of, you know, overhaul the way I live my life so that, like you said, I can tap into like that best part of your life and sort of make that go longer?
Well, the nice thing about being in urban ashrams also, we're very friendly with beginners, and no matter what age, you know, I mean, we get people who are young. I mean, I teach kids, so we get as young as 5 to, and we get really as old as maybe 60 plus.
Right.
And that doesn't matter, you know, because we just always teach according to what the body can do at that moment, and that, you know, we also teach very progressively. So we don't force people into getting into, for example, hard poses. We're really more concerned about the longevity of practice, that it's something that they can do for the long haul rather than just as something as a fitness thing for now. But of course, that's the one that captures people to go in because they don't want to, you know, be able to get stronger, get healthy. Then they realize, you know, the more we talk about do the poses and the benefits, then they themselves feel some sort of transformation.
Right. Yeah. You know, I'm sure you've seen firsthand how people change in terms of their flexibility, their outward health, and I'm sure it's a pathway to change the way you think, the way you sort of handle, you know, everyday situations and so on and so forth. How long practice does it take for you to start seeing a change? I mean, where does that change begin? I mean, do you set your sights on, like Lasse says, you know, my goal is to be able to touch my toes, and once I'm able to touch my toes, I'm good. You know, I've achieved. You know, where do you start to feel like, okay, I've turned a corner and I'm actually tapping into, like you said, rejuvenative practice? You know.
Well, we encourage people to at least try us out for at least maybe 2 weeks. Because of course, if you're coming from a sedentary lifestyle and you start exercising, it can kind of feel very new. So we always encourage people to come back, and you know, over the course of at least, I always talk to people and they say maybe after their 5th session they feel something.
As a teacher, when do you see people feel younger or look younger?
After how many sessions? Maybe like, I talk to people after their 1st session. Maybe after like their 5th session, they feel different.
Things are very, things
usually, well, that's the thing, right? I mean, sometimes I see people come out of their first 5 minutes of their yoga practice and they stand up, and you ask them to stand up and they look better. There's a release and they're smiling, and there's something that happened. It depends. I mean, traditionally 4 to 8 years if you want to become a yoga master. I'm probably more of the 8-year rather than the 4-year, depending on how good the student is. Literally says that. But the changes happen very quickly. Apparently 3 minutes of taking open postures, like do that before an interview or something, and you come across much better. The testosterone in the body increases, the serotonin decreases, so less stress, and you become sort of a leadership attributes start coming out. Imagine doing that for an hour 15, right? As to the rest of your life, I mean, immediately when you have a little bit more energy, your life starts changing. But I think one of the things that you start developing in a yoga practice, and this is very important because Nica is in charge of something called our Urban Yogi program, where we're trying to bring yogic philosophies outside of the mat into life. Things like perseverance and things like understanding that things can happen, all you can control are your own reactions. And these are things that start changing people fundamentally, and even in terms of understanding how you can turn stress into good energy using the body systems. And when you practice enough times, you can learn how to use, for example, your stomach to convert stress into energy that you use. It's a great converter for energy.
Right, okay.
You can use your mind to refine energy and take lower base energies into stronger. So all of this can be done with awareness, but that takes some time to do.
Right.
So first the body, fix the major problems, extend the health, make sure that they have time to learn.
Right.
And then when you have time, then you can take your time to learn all of these other things about life. Right?
Wow, I like the way this is a very Yoda sort of conversation we're having here.
Sorry.
But it's cool. I like it. I mean, I'm sure it's resonating with a few other people who are starting to feel that they need to sort of take charge and tap into, like you said, that energy and extend that period period where the energy is highest. In terms of structuring it as a program, I mean, obviously there are many yoga. Are they called schools or
Sure, types.